The Real Monica Adams Show is brought to you by Exist Stretch. Stop by for your free consultation and 30-minute introductory stretch today.
And they have two locations. The one we're showing you is in the St. Louis Hills area at 5605 Hampton Avenue. I hope you went last night. They had a sip and stretch. Yes, some really great wines and getting you extra flexible after you have a few drinks in you. So they're having some really amazing events ever since their grand opening that we were proud to be a part of just a couple of weeks ago. There's another location that is inside of Exist Fitness, and that's in the Arnold area. So pick the one that makes the sense for you. Trisha Rhodes, who's right there, she is the stretch therapist that we're going to be featuring on the Real Monica Adams Show. She stretched me out and she will stretch you as well, or one of the many team members that they have at Exist Stretch. By the way, that first stretch is on them. So again, stop by and I'd love for you to tell them that you found out about them on the Real Monica Adams Show. So we are inside the Exist Stretch studios. If you haven't heard, they are our new title sponsor. We also want to welcome on board Exist Fitness, and we'll be doing some really cool fitness segments with them, located in Concord and in the Arnold area. Well, welcome into the show. I'm your host, Monica Adams, and we started Testament Tuesday a couple of months ago. We are going to talk about a really powerful testament today, the testimony from Bridget Childress' son-in-law. So Bridget is our sponsor of Testament Tuesday, and if you're not familiar with her, we'll give you all the background on what she can do for you with Childress Legal Nurse Consulting. Well, today is an election day, not on the Illinois side, but on the Missouri side, and not statewide. It is a local election. So will you be voting? Will you be going to the polls? They did open up at 6 o'clock this morning. They will remain open until 7 o'clock this evening. And as we always say, your vote matters today, and it will really be interesting as we get into November how things will be looking. So we're talking about today what's on the Missouri ballots. And what I'm going to do is post this link for you so that you can click on the county that you live in and you'll see what is on the ballots today. Dozens of fire protection districts are asking voters for 1% sales tax and new state law requiring them to give 50% back in proposition tax relief. Due to a new state law, fire protection districts can now ask the voters to help fund them using a sales tax, and nearly every fire district in St. Louis and St. Charles County is asking the voters for approval. In fact, 29 in total. So we'll be talking all about you heading to the polls today. Now, as you do so, you might want to grab your umbrella. When we pulled in, a little drizzle that was out there on the windshield. Actually, Zach said he did have to turn his windshield wipers on. So there's a possibility of some rain. And now, if you remember yesterday, we were talking to Beckett Moore, our aspiring meteorologist, and I said that KMOV had the four-letter word that I hate, which is SNOW. And if you look at this forecast from KMOV, it does in fact say maybe some of you to the north could see a mix. So it is a little chilly this morning and a little drizzle out there. 54 eventually for the high today. 41 tonight. Breezy tomorrow. It's going to be beautiful though. 73 degrees. Just a little breezy as we get into the evening. 55 for the low. And then we get into Thursday. 20% chance of rain, but a high in the upper 70s. By Friday, we have a 70% chance of rain. 73. Saturday, 76. Sunday, 83. All of these days from Thursday through Thursday of next week have a possibility of rain. And look at this long stretch of the Cardinals being in town from Friday through Wednesday of next week. So pretty much we are going to be in the mid to upper 70s until we get to Sunday and Monday. Then we're talking about the low to mid 80s. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, upper 70s and maybe some storms by midweek. And we get to 68 degrees by the time we get into Thursday of next week. So once again, if you are heading to the ballots today, just know that there is a possibility that you could encounter some rain. So grab that. Again, let me know. Are you heading to the ballots? Are you on the Missouri side? Are you on the Illinois side? Or are you in another city and state? We'd love to know that. Again, your vote does matter today. So just kind of looking at some of the top local stories here in the St. Louis area. As I mentioned, as far as the voting, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Polls are open. Some local government races like mayors across Missouri, including the St. Louis region, city council seats, county leadership roles, directly impacting policing and development, taxes, and local policies. One of the most important and often overlooked items influences curriculum, policies, and district leadership for the school board elections, taxes and bonds and funding issues. Common ballot measures include property tax changes, school funding bonds, local infrastructure funding. In fact, Kansas City voting, they're renewing a 1% earnings tax. I mentioned earlier again about the aspect of your fire protection districts, asking voters for that 1% sales tax. New state law requiring them to give 50% back in proposition property tax relief. So as you go to the polls, you may see something like that. Local propositions will vary by county, of course. Public safety funding and transportation improvements, community development projects. But what's coming? The bigger Missouri ballots in 2026, while not on today's ballot, it is building momentum. Abortion restrictions versus protections, redistricting referendum, education funding as a constitutional right. These could define Missouri's political future in November. So again, today may be a local election, but these are the decisions that hit your wallet, hit your schools, hit your safety first, and they're setting the tone for the much bigger political battles which will be coming in November. So again, it does matter. Even when people think, oh, this just is a smaller election, it matters because it all kind of blends together as we get to the bigger ones. All right, moving on in other local news. This is something that showed up in the news last year. General Mills closing a plant, and it said coming up in the summer. Well, here we are. It's now closing in June, and 163 people will be out of a job after the plant closes. According to a worker adjustment and retraining notification, the General Mills plant at 3850 Millstone Parkway will close in early June. The jobs are expected to be eliminated within 14 days of June 8th, and this comes after the announcement of several plant closures back in October of last year, setting a specific time frame for the job eliminations. In that notice, it states that the employees losing their jobs are not eligible to transfer or to displace other facility workers. The closure will, in fact, be permanent. I hate to hear that, but obviously if you know somebody with General Mills, you may have already heard of it. You may have been waiting for it since it was first announced back in the fall of last year. All right, the Girls in the Know Empowerment Summit. I want you to know about this. It's coming up in about a week and a half, focusing on building confidence and financial awareness and self-care skills. The summit focusing for the Girls in the Know I Am Enough Empowerment Summit. It's actually happening at St. Louis University later this month on April 18th. Tickets are $30, and for information on the summit, I'm going to give you a link that you can click on to find out more information and get your girls involved. Sounds like a wonderful event to be a part of, is it not? I think so. All right, retired couple. Right? What do you do when you're retired? What do you think you're going to do? Do you stay retired for a few months and then say, no, I think I want to work. I want to work again, or no, I want to travel. Well, this couple, they built a fairy tale treehouse rental in Union, Missouri. Marcia and Daryl Conley created the Enchanted Forest Treehouse on their property. It's a short-term rental that features fairy tale themes all throughout. Now, Marcia's a retired surgical assistant and an artist. Her husband, a retired carpenter. The treehouse is their creation. In fact, he said he's been a carpenter since the mid-'80s. They consulted a local arborist and an engineer from Oregon before they constructed this. The arborist climbed the trees to check their health. The 2 trees that support the structure had to move independently. The couple put in a road, a well, a septic tank before building the treehouse. Construction took about 5 years, and now it's open. The property includes a hot tub, and they receive maintenance twice a year from an arborist, including deep root feeding, vascular flushing, bug treatment. They said making people happy is very addicting. So again, you might want to look this up. Enchanted Forest Treehouse. It is in Union, Missouri, and I know a lot of you like to go to different places, stay in from some unique things. Well, this is definitely one of them. All right, we've been talking about whether or not you are a basketball fan, and if you had a bracket all the way to the end, which would be absolutely amazing, we have some of our friends here where our studios are at Adventure Unknown in Fenton. Just looking at all the WhatsApp conversations back and forth just were cracking me up as to who was lasting. Well, did you pick this one? The national championship winners. I know a lot of you were hoping it was going to be UConn. Michigan, 69, Connecticut, 63. What a tight game. Did you watch, by the way? I did not, but let me know if you watched and if you were happy with that outcome. All right, in local sports news, the Cardinals, unfortunately, losing to the Washington Nationals. The final was 9-6. It's the Cardinals and Nationals again today. First pitch will be at 5:45. The Blues are in action in St. Louis against the Colorado Avalanche. 7 p.m. will be the puck dropping, and then the Jets taking on the Blues Thursday at 7, and it's the Blues and the Blackhawks. Gotta love that rivalry. Saturday, it'll be a 4 p.m. game. All right, in the National Day of Calendar, we kind of laughed about this one. National No Housework Day, and it sounds like all of you that don't want to do any housework are going to maybe be drinking a beer and eating some coffee cake, because it's also National Coffee Cake Day. It's National Girl Me Too Day, empowering women to support each other. It is also, and this happens again for the first Tuesday in April, Sexual Assault Awareness Month. It's a day of action providing a day to focus on prevention, nationally recognized in the United States, the day aiming to stop sexual assault, harassment, and abuse before they happen through education. I mentioned it is also National Beer Day. So if you're a beer drinker, tell me what your favorite beer is. Do you like craft beers? Do you like IPAs, etc.? Let me know. Drop a comment in either now or when you watch a little bit later. All right, for all of you that are already signed on, you're up and at 'em early this morning. Let's say hello to our community. Linda, good morning. Hi, Kyle. I did not wear a hat for Easter because it was too windy. Good morning, Sean. Hope you're having a great start to your day. Stephanie, hope you're having a good start as well. We'll hop over to Instagram. Looks like Rose is watching on Instagram this morning. Oh, that's interesting. Not Karen and Edrisa, good morning to you as well. All right, we're going to take a break. We've got a very powerful show on tap today. So, when we talk about Testament Tuesday, it's about giving your testimony. So I'm going to lead into this. What began as a life marked by trauma and bullying and illness and deep emotional pain became a powerful testimony of God's relentless pursuit and healing grace. Battling depression, anxiety, PTSD, addiction, chronic illness, surviving multiple suicide attempts. This story we're going to tell you about today reveals a truth that many miss. God never left. Even in the darkest moments, He intervenes. He preserves your life. He prepares a greater purpose. So today, rooted in faith, family, and mission, this story boldly proclaims what the enemy meant for evil, God used for good. You do not want to go anywhere. That is our testimony today on this Testament Tuesday. Stay tuned.
What if you could start your day feeling loose, relaxed, and ready? Deep hydrotherapy right in your backyard. No commute, no appointments, just warmth, relief whenever you need it. Sore muscles recover faster, tight joints loosen up, tension you carry all day, gone. Relax with your family or friends, or work out with our Michael Phelps Edition Swim Spas. Worried about maintenance? We have factory-trained service nearby whenever you need it. Plus, we're here for you long-term if you have any questions or need to refill supplies. You can even test spas at Spas and More, A+ rated, locally owned for 20 years. We put the ah in spa.
Hi, it's Monica Adams. Thank you so much for following along with The Real Monica Adams Show. But I wanted to let you know there's so much more that I could do with you, your business, your corporation. Did you know that I'm a motivational speaker all around the world, as well as an MC and an auctioneer? So if you have an event, maybe a nonprofit organization, and you want to book me, just shoot me an email, info@therealmonicaadams.com.
Welcome back. And that Testament Tuesday, by the way, started over a month ago, and it's been really gaining momentum. I was talking to someone just yesterday about it, and they're like, wait, what? Oh, I need to watch that. Yes, you do. You know, I've always been involved in faith from a little girl on, but it really powered up. And when I was able to walk away from television, finally could speak my beliefs. And again, if you're not ready, it's okay. I can guarantee at some point you'll start to come back and you'll be wondering and you'll be interested. And if you're in a dark place right now, it's okay. You don't have to shame yourself, but please don't stay there, right? That is not the best for your life. There is light somewhere, even if it's a pinhole. There's a light at the end of this darkness that will start to open up for you more and more. God's there for you. Let him enter in your time and in his time, okay? So we'll talk about all of this today. By the way, it's brought to you by our dear friend, Bridget Childress with Childress Legal Nurse Consulting, and that's where you can find her, childresslnc.com. If you're not sure what she does, we'll talk a little bit about that. We're also excited to introduce you, besides Bridget, she's brought in her son-in-law. It's a family affair today. Dr. Christian Schmidt is on with us as well. Both of you, thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you, Monica. Thank you for having me. Bridget, thank you for introducing me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So Bridget and I have known each other since we were young little kiddos. Wee big.
Yeah.
And then she reached out to me when she heard me say that I wanted to do a show, Testament Tuesday. And she's like, oh, I absolutely want you to do that. Like a lot of you drop comments and saying, yes, 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 we want more and more faith besides the devotional. But then right away she said, I want to be a part of that. So for those that did not get a chance to see you last month, tell them a little bit about what you do and how you can help them.
Okay. So as a registered nurse, I work with attorneys on, away from the bedside in cases that require medical records, personal injury, medical malpractice, and so forth, even workman's comp, but mostly the personal injury and medical malpractice. Mm-hmm. And I take the medical records that are all chaotic and bring some clarity to it. And I help attorneys so that they can more effectively and clearly help their clients in the cases that they have.
And you've been a nurse for how long?
Oh my goodness, 14 years.
And a charge nurse now.
Oh yeah, that's been going on for some time. But now I'm at St. Luke's doing a charge nurse. So, I don't know, 3 years in total. So, yeah.
So this idea, and this is what I love about the evolution of what we do in life, this God brought to her and said, do it, right? And sometimes we're not obedient and we say no.
That's so true, because it's like, no, I'm not ready. Yes, you may not be, but I will prepare you. So,
exactly. Yep.
And that's the thing. It's because I always thought too, it's like, okay, if I'm going to do something, then it's just going to happen. But it doesn't, in that, there's processes, there's times, mm-hmm. there's learning, there's growing, and so it's been fun.
I had a Zoom call with someone last night, and I was like, when we say we're not ready, he laughs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good luck.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you do this. I'm going to throw you into it. So have you officially celebrated your first year, or is it coming up since you started this?
So May. Yeah,
okay.
May will come up as my first year of implementing everything, and so it's
congratulations.
Thank
because
you.
It's always nearing that first year and then saying, all right, we've done this, let's keep going. Oh,
yes.
It's got chill for you. Childress Legal Nurse Consulting, childresslnc.com. So let Bridget, since this is her calling, let her do that work for you. Again, please reach out to her. The easiest would be email or phone
email,
call?
yes.
Okay.
So Bridget at childresslnc.com.
Okay.
And or you can call me 636-698-3780. So.
And again, and you might be hearing this and thinking, oh, I know somebody else that might need that. So pass that along to them. By the way, if you haven't already, please welcome Bridget to our team of sponsors, because again, we couldn't do it without, they're just so incredible. And of course, each and every one of you that are watching. So good morning. I see all of you, and some of you are happy or not happy. Are you a basketball fan, Christian?
I am not.
Are you, Bridget?
Not really.
Look at it.
My daughter and his wife, Haley, she likes basketball. And so, but
I played it, remember?
Yes.
I played in grade school and high school, and then I'm like, no, I don't like watching it. Somebody said I did not, but I watched American Idol. Yes, go Hannah. Again, I understand she's doing very, very good. Eli's very excited to see Daddy and Grandma on TV. Or Ellie, is it Ellie?
Oh, Ellie.
Ellie, sorry. I'm like, I need put my glasses on. Ellie. Okay. And okay. Thank you. For any friends and family members that know these two, feel free to drop comments and share this, by the way, with family and friends. So, how long has this been your son-in-law?
January 17th was the wedding date, but
Yep.
gosh, what has it been?
How long have you two been
How
together?
I know.
Not as long as you think. Yeah, we met back in August.
August of last year.
Yeah.
And then I remember, here's a beautiful picture of them, by the way. I remember when you were talking about the wedding
Yeah.
and then the gift that she had to see beforehand, so she wasn't just bawling and bawling and
Yeah.
bawling like she already would, which was really absolutely amazing. So congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
So fairly new. I love newlyweds. Right? You can always tell. That's the way they look at each other, and you're like, I need that back in my life.
Yes.
So congratulations on the wedding and this beautiful family. But it always wasn't rainbows and puppies and happy times for Christian. And that is why we're bringing him in today, because again, when it comes to a testimony, I want you to just load me up, info@therealmonicaadams.com, and let's bring you on a future show. The Crossing, by the way, have you ever been to the Crossing in Fenton or Chesterfield? You have?
Bill and I and Adam, we went for probably, I don't know, 6 months to the one in Chesterfield.
And the one in Chesterfield?
Before we started going to Element, yeah.
So you may know, I reached out to him last night. There's a guy that is, let me see if I can do this. There's a guy that's a part of the Crossing that wrote me last night, and I was like, let's bring you on. And I'm like, Bridget will love this one. He's one of the singers that performs. Lloyd Nix is his name.
Okay,
and
I
so
don't know
we're
him.
gonna set that up and have him come in. Whenever he sings, I'm just sitting there. Oh yes, just sing.
Your hands
preach.
go up and yeah.
Yes, yes. So we'll set that up. But again, if you have someone that you would like for us to bring on a future show, please let us know that. So we're going to get into Christian story. What I want you to do, as you're listening to this, do you hear similarities? Do you see similarities? Is this your life? Is he speaking to you directly? If so, please listen. I already have chills. So in this room is Mary and the Holy Spirit and God and everybody saying, tell that story, because it will impact, even if it's just one. And we are able to turn one life around. That's the power. But I believe it will be much more than that. So, Christian, thank you, first of all, for saying that you would come in to tell this story, because it's not
Absolutely.
always easy to give your testimony. But as I just mentioned, it wasn't always easy for you, and it's been hard, and you've turned away from faith. We're going to go through this winding path, but it all started back when you were young?
Yeah. So growing up, I went through quite a bit. I don't necessarily need to get into deep details of that. I think the point of it is that there were some rough things that happened in childhood, but the incredible thing is that God was able to even redeem that. Some of the lesser stuff that went on when I was younger, I was bullied growing up for being overweight. Even after I kind of lost that weight, I dealt with a lot of just like feeling alone, like a lot of not fitting in, a lot of not true friendships, things like that, and just spent most of my childhood just feeling completely alone.
It's interesting when we talk about the level of bullying and the fact that bullying used to be in person only, and now it is escalated to the bullying online, and we see that affecting so many. And if you could get to someone who's young that is in that mindset of, I have no value, people think I'm fat, people think I'm ugly, they're saying all these horrible words to me, what would you say to them to try to get their life turned around earlier?
Honestly, the only thing I've ever found that really pulls people out of that darkness is Jesus. And growing up, you really don't want to hear that. Your parents might be encouraging you to go to church and talking about Jesus, and it doesn't really sound like something a lot of kids want to hear a lot of the time, especially if they're going through darkness. It doesn't feel like there is anyone there, but just knowing that you have a friend in Jesus and that Jesus loves you is the most powerful thing. And
a lot of times it's just, and Christian brought up a very good point, sometimes you don't want to hear it, but keep having it around, even if it's music or it's a podcast or it's a book that you lay down, and maybe they'll be like, oh, okay, what's this? I'll pick it up on my own. I don't want to be told. I don't want to be brought to it. But, I mentioned that Bridget and I went to grade school together. Obviously, we grew up with faith. We went to Sacred Heart in Florissant, and it was around. It's not that it attaches to you always. You hope that it does, but at least there's a foundation that's there. But do you agree that, both of you, that we are seeing and hearing more testimonies and more professing love for faith than we did growing up?
Yeah. There's a revival going on for sure.
Why do you think? I ask everybody that sits in these seats.
There are so many people that have just like prominent voices in society that are coming around, and like think of like Joe Rogan, for example, who used to just make fun of Christianity, and he's not necessarily a full-blown Christian yet, but reports are saying that he's going to church, he's having prominent Christian voices on his podcast and listening, and his heart is being softened by the Lord to come and actually see the truth of the resurrection. And he's just one example of many. There are so many out there that are just changing hearts. God is doing some work.
And younger.
Yeah.
Younger. What about?
And that, yeah, I was gonna say, and that's the thing too, is because people pay attention to people in
higher.
Yeah, and but yeah, I think for me personally, it was like you said, having that foundation, and so being able to go back to that. But I think that I see it in our church is, Wednesday night, the youth group, the youth conferences, like there are hundreds of kids going, and whether some of them are being made to go but I think the majority of them really are on fire for the Lord. There's this one little kid that I follow, and he is just amazing.
Is he like 4 or 5 years old?
He's like 6.
There's
yes.
preachers. No, if you haven't seen,
Yes.
that is the thing I really love about Instagram and TikTok, and I just keep going, preach.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. And it's not anything that, because he is so young, that like it's coming from deep within.
Yes.
He's not reading
a script.
it. No.
He's not reading a script.
No.
If you don't see these, just kind of start typing in, because you'll see a bunch come up. And younger, we're seeing preachers. And there's one particular girl that I follow and have for a while, and she's probably in her 30s now, but she is the one that is the preacher at church. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I love this. I know. So if you're just tuning in, this is a Testament Tuesday. And again, we're going to talk deeper about Christian's story. If you want to drop any comments in, please let me know what you think has turned this world around. And I asked the ladies that I had a Zoom call with yesterday, and they're like, oh, that's a deep question, Monica. And they're like, I think the enemy is trying harder than ever. I'm like, oh, that is a really interesting comment, right? You agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the Lord is ultimately going to win the end, but he's ramping his game up, and the enemy's trying to do it too.
Yeah. Oh, chills. Woo, I love when I get chills. So Christian, again, as we mentioned, so he was growing up, and again, doesn't have to get into the details. A lot of you know that you've been through something that doesn't matter this part. What matters is how he was able to come out of it. But bullied, you lost the weight and you were still bullied. And so that could damage your spirit of, wait a minute, I thought that's why I was being bullied. Okay, now what do I do? Besides that, your father was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer?
Yeah, my freshman year of high school, he had stage 4 kidney cancer. We didn't really know. We didn't really know what was going to happen. This doesn't have a very good mortality rate. But praise be to God, he was able to have surgery, have his kidney removed, and he's been completely clean to this day. So
that's
amazing.
Amazing.
Haven't found any cancer.
Because you hear, as a nurse, you hear stage 4, and everyone loses hope.
They do, or then they, hop on we got to do this.
WebMD.
Yes, yeah. So Dr. Google
Don't do that.
Yeah.
So again, you go through these, I could lose my father, I'm being bullied, I just don't see value in myself. So take us as we go from that you turn to some things that don't serve you.
Absolutely did. Yeah. There's a lot of temptation growing up to party, to drink, to sleep around, things like that. And in that darkness, I was clinging because around that time when all this stuff was going on, I stopped believing in God. I couldn't justify the things I was going through with a loving God. It just didn't make sense to me. I was raised Catholic. I was exposed to faith and exposed to Jesus, but it just didn't. I went to actually Catholic and Jesuit school my whole life. Even in college, I went to St. Louis U, but I just stopped believing, and I thought it was stupid. I became a very strong atheist because I just couldn't reconcile what I was going through with what was with a loving God. And yeah, so I just started turning things to the world. Started drinking in high school, smoking weed, things like that, being promiscuous, a lot of partying and other stuff like that. And just ultimately all that stuff just led me deeper and deeper into darkness. And it's the stuff that you think growing up that all the cool kids do, that you want to do. And ultimately it's just a lie from the enemy to lead you further into despair.
And definitely not a leader, but a follower of the wrong kind. And thank you again. I keep stressing, thank you, because it's not easy to tell a story, but he knew that I've got quite a testimony to say. He just said a very strong atheist. And so people hear that and go, wow, how in the world did you go from this to this? Because there are many people that may be listening right now, watching. They may get this on their feed later to say, that's me right now. I don't ever see myself turning that around. So you are in a very, very dark place.
Yeah.
And it gets darker, by the way. So don't think that he's hit rock bottom yet. Even though people might be, there's no way this could be another layer. There's no way it could be another layer worse. But you're following the wrong crowd. You're following the wrong mindset.
Right.
Those that are listening or will see this later that are in that exact same place, can you address this comment, or this question, I guess I should say. There are many people who go through similar things, and you think, what kind of a God would allow this to happen to me? What kind of a God would allow this to happen to my father? What kind of a God would allow me to be this guy or girl? What would you say to them? Because there are a lot of people that feel the exact same way of, I don't believe because there's no way a God would allow this to happen in our world.
Yeah, it's a really difficult thing. Even if I were to give the best answer possible, it's a really difficult thing to grasp when you're going through it. But I can tell you that once you make it out, I'm able to look back at everything that I've gone through, even the worst possible moments, every single thing that I've gone through, all the trauma, all the poor choices, and I'm able to look at that and actually thank the Lord, because those things, it's like, iron on a fire. It refined me. It gave me the ability to, now that I'm out of it and I've found Jesus, to help other people who are going through that, to show them that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and that light is Jesus. All those things, ultimately, the Lord used to make me stronger. But if I hadn't relied on the Lord, then it would have made me weaker. It would have kept throwing me into deeper and deeper darkness. But because the Lord encountered me, it was all those things I'm thankful for. I wouldn't change anything about what I went through.
That was literally where I was going to go next. Because sometimes people look at that going, oh, now that I know this, I want to erase that. What did that teach you?
That one of the beautiful things about the Lord is that he can take the worst possible things in your life and use it for good. What the enemy meant for evil, the Lord uses for good. And yeah, like just to be able to look back and be thankful for the things that I used to hate the most, is a really profound transformation.
Oh, it absolutely is. Every step along the way, the darkest, the best, the positive, the negative, we learn from those, hopefully, right? If you're just tuning in, you may have seen Bridget on the show before, Bridget Childress. This is her son-in-law, Dr. Christian Schmidt. This is his testimony, and it might sound like yours as well, which is great. If you're willing, drop a comment in. Now, later, reach out to me separately and say, I'd like to get this message to Christian, to thank him again for opening up and being raw and real on The Real Monica Adams Show. Don't go anywhere. We have more of this testimony and how it does this throughout life and then brought him to this profound faith for Jesus Christ. Still to come.
What's up, y'all? Steve Ewing over here, and I'm hanging out with Monica Adams on the Monica Adams Show. It was awesome to be able to come in here, talk about what we do, and really kind of have some positive things to say about our city, about St. Louis, all the really cool things happening here. Such a great environment here, and I love her energy, and I love the energy she puts into telling these stories about the really cool things happening in our city. Thanks, Monica, for having me on the show. This was amazing. I get to talk about all my good stuff, and you get to give them that energy, which I love. So thank you very much.
Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in again to the Real Monica Adams Show. Bridget Childress, Dr. Christian Smith, our guest, and it's the Testament Tuesday. Rose just said, I met Bridget at Mary Tuttle's, but didn't know who she was until she left. She was very sweet.
Oh, hi, Rose.
Now you do know. So as you are hearing this testimony from Christian, again, feel free to drop anything in. Feel free to say thank you for providing this testimony. Thank you for opening up and being raw and real. Anything you want to say to him as we go throughout this? One of the things that Christian just said earlier when he first started his story, it doesn't matter the details of what happened with the childhood trauma. I think one of the important, powerful things that you wrote in your notes to me is that you forgave. Mm-hmm. That is a very hard thing to do. How long did it take you to forgive?
That's a good question. I think it was a process. Mm-hmm. I think that once I finally found Jesus, I think that was set in motion. I'd say within a year of that, but I mean, that was all pretty, but that was by the time I was probably about 22, 23, that I was able to forgive, but all that stuff would have occurred from, childhood. So pretty long time in the grand scheme of things, but once I found the Lord, it became pretty easy.
Now, those of you that have followed me throughout my career, you've heard my own story in the past. If you haven't, I can bring it up to you, or you can write me privately and ask, what was it? I have also forgiven somebody that did something to me, and I don't want to say have to, because I don't want to have that power word. I hope you can. Let's put it that way. I hope you can find your way to forgiveness and know that there are better days ahead, even though it doesn't feel like it. And it's easy to stay in the mess and the chaos, and that what the enemy wants you to do, stay in that, because that's the power he wants to have over you. But the Lord is asking, you may not ever forget, but you forgive. And somehow, some way, try to figure out, what can I take from that? Because again, you went through the process that all of us do, which is, why me? Why would that have happened to me? And again, how can I believe in someone that would allow something like this to happen? It's an easy path to follow. Beyond the bullying, how do you find yourself to a health and fitness realm?
Yeah, so one of the other things that was going on during this time was around the time I was in high school. Well, I guess backing up a little bit, the first thing that happened was like the way I lost weight. I had so much anger and sadness going on, and that I just dropped down and started doing push-ups. I don't know. It just literally the only thing I guess I could think of at the time. And so it was like the summer before 7th grade. Mm-hmm. I was doing like 100 push-ups a day, 100 sit-ups, running a couple miles, like every single day, and eating differently. And that's what lost the weight for me, and that's kind of where that passion for health and fitness began. Mm-hmm. But going even further along, around the time I was in high school, I developed an autoimmune condition that affected my skin that caused like very severe chronic pain. Mm-hmm. That got kind of worse and worse as time went on. But ultimately, like looking for solutions, looking for a way out of that, praying about that, the Lord led me to chiropractic. And I've always been huge on nutrition and fitness as well, so they're all kind of blended in together pretty well.
I love it. So again, we never know how we're going to get to this point, and the path, as I mentioned, will kind of go like this, but it's like, okay, I was healed in a way. Now I want to pay it forward. I want to give back. Yeah. You were saying at the break, Bridget, that some of this you didn't know about, some of this you're hearing maybe for the first time, but it's also interesting because you can hear where the darkness was. Yeah. As the mother-in-law, does it ever make you fearful that it could return?
You know what? I haven't thought of that because I see him and Haley, and they are such first of all, they put God first in their marriage, and then the way I just see them together, their prayer life, their community in church, and I thought it was really great at the wedding. During communion, they had their wedding party come as they were, receiving communion and pray over them. And it was just like the whole ceremony was not necessarily that it wasn't traditional. It was just beautiful because it was them. Mm-hmm. It was them and God. And that's what it was. It wasn't about, this big elaborate day. Mm-hmm. It was like they were very focused on this being a covenant and a communion between the two of them and God.
And I love the fact that if you just tuned in, you may have missed it, but he was like, "Oh, we haven't known each other as long as you would think." But
Now,
do you?
I will say that I was like, really? Okay.
I was waiting for all of you to go. Can you go back to that? Hold on a second.
Yeah, no,
so
that-
August to a marriage in January.
Yes.
But when people say this, when you know, you know. Did you know? Like, how did you two meet? By the way.
So we met on Hinge, but we found out within like the first couple minutes of texting that we went to the same church. So we both go to Matthias lot. She was just going to a different time than I was. I was kind of interrogating her a little bit. It was like Sunday. I'm like, so how was church? Just making sure she went. And that's kind of where the conversation, because our church meets on Wednesday nights. And then we have like a kind of a smaller gathering on Sundays at people's homes and stuff like that. And that specific Sunday, we actually didn't have a gathering. So we kind of figured out quick. Like I mentioned Wednesday night, she's like, "Oh, you go to Matthias?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Interesting.
So we kind of met at church, but kind of met on Hinge. So the Lord works in mysterious ways. And
absolutely.
Dating apps are mysterious. So.
Oh my gosh. When you said Hinge, I'm like, see, there's yet another one I've never heard of before. Yeah. I did Match.com, and my husband always laughs now. He's like, you did a date? Yeah, why not? First of all, I think it sometimes is better because you get to know each other for a while. You can talk as long as you want to, as opposed to I met at the gym, I at a bar, whatever, and you're just like, I don't know anything about you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because some people are against it. I don't know. I may open. If you haven't tried it, try it. Say yes when you have the opportunity. Say yes.
My sister Maggie met her husband of now 15, I think 16 years.
See?
On Match.com.
On Match.com.
Yep.
There's been a lot of friendships that have formed also, even if you're not a match per se, that friendships form from that. Or you're networking and maybe business. I mean, you have no idea. So open your mind up to it. Okay, so you talked about having this and again, that could feel to Christian as another hit. I went through this, I went through this, I went through this. Now I'm going through this. I'm waiting to find my way out of the darkness. Do you feel, again, I'm not trusting this God?
Yeah, it was one of those things, too, the mainstream medicine didn't have an answer for. So it was just like, I don't know. It's such a bizarre thing to go through, such a severe source of pain and inconvenience. It actually, I was a football player and I had to stop playing football because of it. And so I lost some things that I loved that kind of, inadvertently led me deeper down into fitness because it was one thing I could still do. It was like work out to some extent. But yeah, it definitely, that as well as additional thing that happened, I got diagnosed with later, where it made me really just not understand why any of it was happening and how God could exist.
Right, because I've heard comments from people who say, what more can I go through? Like what, as I mentioned before, what kind of a God would have me go through this and this? When do I get a break? And there's a lot of you that I'm sure that feel that I couldn't possibly survive one more thing. But then you hear people say that God only will make you go through things to help you know just how strong you are and that he'll carry you through them.
Yeah,
He'll always be there.
And not to interrupt you guys, but I remember in going through my divorce and, just sitting and crying with my dad. And I'm just like, why? And he's like, you may never know the why.
Right.
And it's not the why that matters.
Correct. It's hard, though, because we all want the answers.
We do, yeah.
And we may never until we meet him. Yeah. And then it is probably not even going to matter anymore because you'll be just so in awe. Yeah. So someone in your path decides to invite you to church.
Yeah. So just kind of backing up a little bit too, my older brother ultimately invited me to church after the entirety of the darkness that I had gone through. I actually went to the crossing where we went.
And at that point, do you fight against it? Are you even paying attention? Or are you just there?
At that point in my life, I had completely hit total darkness. So my freshman year of high school, or college rather, I started oversleeping for everything. I started having very, very vivid, bizarre hallucinations in the middle of the night. Ultimately found out I had narcolepsy, which causes very chronic sleep deprivation. And that ultimately led me further into darkness. And then there were the suicide attempts, 2 of them, which God did some really interesting things during that, so I hope we get a chance to touch on it. But ultimately at that point, after the second attempt and surviving that, I was pretty, I felt like I owed it to my family to some extent, which I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I just felt like I had I realized what I had done and that I had betrayed their trust especially after the second attempt. My brother my oldest brother, wanted me to go to church with them. I didn't want to go to church. I was not open to it, so I started going into. I still remember being in his basement. He used to live in Fenton, had a really cool basement with a secret room and stuff like that. And we went and watched The Crossing there. And after watching like a few different sermons, I was like, okay, I could give this a shot. I like what he's saying. And then ultimately went to church, and then I don't really know the day or the time or anything like that, but I just suddenly believed.
Interesting. Again, it's messages, and you never know which message that is really going to hit home with you. You said you have a particular one that stands out to you.
Particular
Scripture.
Yeah. A lot of them, actually.
A lot?
Yeah.
But, okay, I think you sent one to me, if this tablet will cooperate, that hit, or I guess from a message standpoint, Ephesians 6, verse 12.
Oh, yes. Our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers, principalities, and rulers of the spiritual realm, yeah.
And you said, obviously, you witnessed it firsthand. And again, as I mentioned, as Christians going along and you're hearing this and you're listening, feel free to keep listening, or feel free to say, wow, this is hitting home with me. And again, thank him. I love the words thank you. Thank you for being raw. Thank you for being real. I've had many men, I don't think there has been a woman yet, but I've had many men that have opened up in this chair or in the blue chairs we had in our old set that suddenly have said, I've never told the story. God is wanting me to tell the story, knowing that somebody out there needs to hear this. You mentioned what many guys have mentioned in the past, that they tried to take their life. Not once, not twice. Some people 3, 4, 5 times. And the fact that they're still here, that is God. That is God saying, I see a greater purpose in you. Did you finally, after the second time, realize he wants me here?
I think I got the hint a little bit. Yeah. It was one of those things where, and is it okay if I tell you a little bit about what happened?
Yes,
Absolutely.
please.
Yeah. So the first attempt, basically, I had just given up. I had a period of time where it was it would have been my junior year of college. During my sophomore year, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar with my dad and found God. I started believing in God again. But I don't believe that's enough. I believe that Jesus is Lord and that he's the only way to the Father. So it was I believed in God, but I was just kind of spiritual or whatever. And things got better for a bit, the whole positive thinking thing. It was a brand new concept to me. So things got better. But then I slowly started slipping back into the post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety. My junior year, just had some things happen. I noticed it too because my grades were slipping again. I was oversleeping again. I just felt hopeless. And I hit this point early junior year where I felt, it actually was around Halloween time. I can never forget that because it's a very clear marker of dates, right? And I just had this severe hopelessness. And we went out to a party that night, and the party got broken up. And what was fascinating about it is just because of the night before I had gotten so drunk, I was barely drinking, but I just felt so down and so hopeless. And I went back. The party got broken up. We went back to our apartment complex, and I took about 10 times the dose of my narcolepsy medicine, which is a very strong depressant. And I just thought I would fall asleep and die. But God had different plans. I thought it'd be peaceful. It was not. It was excruciating. I felt like my veins were on fire. And I guess I was having a panic attack in retrospect. And I just knew I was going to die. And in that moment, just miraculously, I had a friend named Bianca who I knew from high school. She was visiting that weekend. And all of a sudden, everyone else would have been in the apartment over continuing the party and whatnot. All of a sudden, I just see the door open and light floods the room. And she's just standing there. And just to give you some context, there was probably about a minute window between taking the medicine and being completely passed out. So if she had come a little bit early, I might have just lied and said I was going to go to sleep. If she had come a little late, she might have just seen me and thought I was passed out drunk.
Right.
But she came in this very small window, and I was able to tell her, hey, you have to call 911. I'm going to die. And so she did, and somehow the doctor said it was miraculous that I not only survived but didn't have any brain damage, at least that I know about. But I was able to survive that, and I wish I could tell you that's where things turn around, right?
Right.
But we know there's a second attempt.
You all would probably think, well, obviously he'd have to get the wake-up call. No, folks, think about your own life, do you? Or we've talked in the past about whispers.
Yes.
That's a gut punch.
Yeah.
But he decides to get punched in the gut again.
Yeah.
And for some of you, you keep getting the gut punches. Oh, I'm going to take a break. We're going to continue. So as he just said, spoiler alert, there's a second attempt, and eventually he gives his life to God. That is where this is going. And so again, darkness to light. This is your life as well. Don't go anywhere.
I was just on the Real Monica Adams show, and it was really a good experience for me. When I walked in, the building is just peaceful. The environment is beautiful here. Monica really made me feel welcome.
The Monica Adams show allows people to be themselves. It's really important to share kindness, to be real, to offer stories and things that will give people hope and a reason to smile.
Rather than waking up aggravated, disappointed, and wondering, where's this earth going, choose to wake up with something that'll put your mind and your heart in the right direction. Start with Monica.
Welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show on this Testament Tuesday. If you're just tuning in, keep watching. But the beauty of streaming, you can go back and watch what you missed. Again, about a testimony that may sound very similar to your own. And if there is a story you would like to tell on a future Testament Tuesday, by the way, reach out to me at info@therealmonicaadams.com. We just mentioned we couldn't do this show without all of our incredible sponsors, like Bridget Childress with Childress Legal Nurse Consulting and the wonderful caregivers at Garden View Care Centers. You just saw Marianne on with us about a week or so ago. You will be seeing them more and more on the show because they have become part of this. And you're seeing this beautiful drive up to Garden View. There are 3 locations, by the way. The original in O'Fallon, Missouri. They also have a location, Doherty Ferry area, and then Chesterfield, where Mama Jackie was. And we cannot thank them enough for the care that they gave to my mom, what they can do for your mom and dad, your siblings, your loved ones. When it comes time, and this is actually something we stress though, don't wait until suddenly it's a decision that has to be made and you feel like you are behind. As Marianne had mentioned, if this is something that you've been discussing as a family, go ahead and put your name on the list. If it comes up, they call and it's not time, that's okay. They'll put you right back on that list again. But I would like for you to go in and tour. I hear a lot of you already made that call and you were like, hey, if Monica's putting her name behind this place has to be good. So thank you, by the way, for trusting me with a pretty powerful aspect of what would happen in life. But yes, my mom, by the way, did go home yesterday. Seniors Helping Seniors is there for her. But in the event, she would have to go into skilled nursing, assisted living. That is exactly where I would want to tour because she's been there already. And I know you took really good care of her. So thank you, Garden View. Welcome aboard. We love having you with us. And yes, my mom was inundated with all those flowers from all of the loved ones that wanted her to be okay. And she is getting better. So thank you, by the way, for all of your love. So on this Testament Tuesday, Bridget Childress, you saw her last month. She wanted to bring her son-in-law, Dr. Christian Schmidt, in. We've been talking about this path that's gone on. You just mentioned trying to take your life once. You would think that would be the wake-up call. It wasn't. What time had gone by before the second attempt?
Yeah, so I was in therapy. I think I was on some sort of medication back then during this time. So the original attempt was around Halloween, and then the fast forward a bit it was the end of the school year, so maybe around May was the second attempt. And so during that time, I was going through the therapy and the medication, and just wasn't really. I don't believe that's enough. For anyone who has depression, anxiety, I just don't think medication and therapy are going to cut it. I think only Jesus is the solution. On His time, He will free you from that. Just keep praying. But that second attempt, one of the things that happened was I had a very good friend, Dave, who was walking home really late at night just because he didn't have a ride, maybe around like 5 or 6 in the morning. And he was struck by a car and died. And when that happened, I actually still remember being at work And it was Bianca actually that called me, and she said, Dave is dead. And I just couldn't believe it. And I had a lot of guilt at the time just because during that period of my life, I was kind of not necessarily becoming a recluse, because I also was kind of living worldly still. I was like, oh, I need to go right back to how things were and act like things are normal. So I was back to drinking and partying and stuff like that again. Not as much, but still doing it, which is the opposite of what you should do after trying to take your own life. But that specific night, I didn't. I remember I had work and I went home and I just went to sleep. I remember waking up and seeing a text message from Dave saying like, "Hey, we're gonna go over to Mike's if you want to come watch the game." And I just kind of rolled back over and fell asleep. And so then I had guilt because I felt like if I had been there, I could have given him a ride, right? So I had this terrible guilt, and also this guilt because I tried to take my own life, and I considered myself to be a pretty awful person, and I was spared. I lived. But Dave, who I considered to be one of the best people I knew, who everybody liked, who was just a positive, fun, kind person, he was gone. And I had so much guilt over it. And some other things also occurred, and I just kind of hit this tipping point where I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't know why it didn't work the first time, and I'm going to try again. So I remember I just took a bunch of pills that I found in a medicine cabinet. I just kind of looked on Google to try to figure out what could maybe do it. And I took a bunch and just went back upstairs. I think I'd driven to my parents' house instead of my apartment and just gone upstairs and laid in bed, thinking I'd just fall asleep. But again, God had other plans. Doesn't ever go that way. Praise be to God for that, right?
Yes, right.
But I just, all of a sudden, my stomach was just violently upset. And I had to rush to the restroom, and I started vomiting blood, like projectile vomiting blood. And I was freaked out. Didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't know if it was still going to die or not. But what was remarkable was my dog, Lily, who is no longer with us, unfortunately. But she was a rescue dog, and she was terrified of me. Like, she's just terrified of men. And would never leave my mom aside. And Lily came my mom was downstairs. Lily came all the way upstairs and just started peeking her head into the bathroom and sniffing. And I remember hearing her little sniff, and looking over and seeing her, this dog that was like, would never let me touch her or anything like that. She like pursued me in that moment. And I really feel like Bianca in the first situation coming to find me, and Lily in that second situation was the Lord working through them.
Amen.
And it still blows my mind. It's like, she was so scared of me. And she came and she found me, and she just walks toward me and gets right next to me. And it was enough. I remember talking to her and saying like, oh, it's okay. Because she looked so sad. And my mom heard me. And I was able to, she's like, Christian, are you awake? And I told her what happened. And we called 911, and they got everything stabilized and whatnot. But yeah, it was after that point that I was in the hospital. And it's a funny story because my oldest brother, like, I told him the story and he's like, really? But all my family was there, and then everybody stepped out. The nurse asked everyone to step out, but my brother Will, the oldest one, stayed. And he goes, dude, what the F? And he obviously used the real word. And at the time I was like, dude, like, leave me alone. Like, I just try to take my life. Like, I don't want to hear it right now. And he's like, no, like, you told us that you would not do this again. And you did. And I tell him that story, and it's so funny because he feels bad about it. I'm like, no, you were right.
Right?
You were 100% right. He's like, did I really say that? Like, yeah, it's a good thing you did because you're right. And then eventually, like we talked about earlier, he was the one that really pushed for me to start watching church and to go to church. And the crossing was where I encountered Jesus and started believing. And that was the turning point. There was a long process of sanctification, as it's called, the Holy Spirit dwelling within me and changing my heart. I still, in that initial era of finding Jesus, I still didn't know what to do with a lot of the commandments we're called to do. A lot of the things, I was living so worldly prior to that, that the Holy Spirit had his work cut out with me. And so it took me a while to stop partying and binge drinking and stuff like that. And I drink in moderation now because I believe that is permissible, right? It's the sin to be drunk.
God drank wine.
Yeah, right. First miracle, right?
Red wine.
First miracle.
First miracle.
So,
he turned that water into wine. Can we do that right now? No, it's National Beer Day.
But yeah, he worked on me, and surely but slowly, I still made a lot of mistakes early on, and the enemy was 100% still trying to pursue me. But at the same time, he worked on me, and eventually I became obedient.
Huge. And I love the fact that you said earlier, in the end, he will always win. The Lord will always win. The enemy will try. And I'm sure he's going to still try because he's going to be like, I can find weakness. I found it before. I'm going to try to find it again. And he's like, nope, nope. And again, you're hearing all of this.
Yeah.
What do you want to say to him?
You know, I was just thinking about that in how how you and Haley being brought together, not that she had ever attempted suicide that I know of, but had this difficult childhood, and I'm proud of you. I love you. I am glad that you are in our life. I am glad that you are. I'm glad you're here, but I'm glad that you're in my life, in our life, and I see you in a different light. I don't think until really today and this situation, or this experience, that I've gotten the chance to know you. I liked and loved you before then too, because of Haley, but even more so now. And just knowing that, for your patience, for anybody in your church, anybody in the community, that you are, you're a light. And
did you ever think you'd hear that?
No.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's huge. Jody just said amen. Rose said, I agree, Christian. There's no way I can get by in this life without God. Right? Good morning to all of you that you're hearing this. And the darkness will not stay. You have to believe. And I know it's hard. Obviously, he can tell you. He's been there. He's been there again and again and again. He's been through so many knocks in life. But now, did you ever see this for your life?
No. In those moments when I tried to take my own life, I obviously thought it would never end.
And by the way, I do want to say, because a lot of you, you're probably waiting for me to say it. While he was telling the story about Dave, we all went through something very tragic with Brian McKenna, similar, walking home and unfortunately being hit by a car and killed. And he is the kind of person that you would think, what? I mean, what a remarkable human being that did so much for so many. But now we see the greater purpose, and he's got even bigger things to do up above, sitting by our Lord. Hard not to have that person here physically, and hard to not try to say, I could have done something. I could have intervened. That's an ego mind to believe that we have that kind of power, right? It's an interesting way for us to think, by the way. So you mentioned earlier all the different people put in your life. Bianca, Dave, your brother Will, and what is your dog's name? Lily.
Yeah.
So all of these are angels. All of these are helpers. You have to believe that. I hope you all see that. And again, if you're not ready to see it, it's okay. All right? These words are so powerful for you to understand. But there will be messages in the form of a human, in the form of an animal, in the form of hearing, seeing, smelling, all the senses. Eventually, when you get it, you are alive. And I'm watching you look at him and seeing him as a light. I saw that. And he may not have ever thought that. When you were a follower, you have now become a leader.
Yeah.
You can look back at your life and follow the path that you wish you wouldn't have followed, but then you say, actually, I don't think I would change anything because it brought you to this. This man, what are you most proud of today of who you are?
Oh, that's a tough question. Just because I can't take any credit for any of it. I when I'm left to my own devices, I'm not a good person. I guess I would say maybe the moment I said yes to Jesus is the moment I'm most proud of, because that's where everything else comes from.
Absolutely.
I can't take any credit for any of the good aspects of me. I always, especially people who are non-believers, I try to explain, like, anything good that you see in me is from Jesus. It's not me.
Mm-hmm. And give that to him, right? Give that to him. Jody said it's so very hard. Stephanie said God's blessings to you. Keep those coming in. Keep those comments coming in, because, again, it will make him then say, I'm so glad that I told this. And for those of you that aren't ready, it's okay. You can reach out to me privately and say, wow, this really hit home for me. There really is a brighter day ahead. And then the next and the next. And it's really sometimes just the moment being able, and who knows, right? You might be in a great place, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call like he did about a friend or diagnosis that you understand. You see this in the hospital on a daily basis. So again, now he's in the healing aspect. Now he wants to give back. When did you become a chiropractor, by the way?
I became a chiropractor. Let's see, I graduated Logan of April of 21.
Love it. I'm a huge, huge, huge fan of chiropractors. It is a chiropractor, by the way, that looked at me and said, looks like a blood clot to me. If you all know my story about the blood clot, he literally looked at my legs and I was like, no, they told me I had a pinched nerve, which obviously you'll understand from medicine. This doctor told me I had a pinched nerve cutting off circulation. And I went, that's not possible. Okay, I was just studying medicine at the time, just starting, and I'm like, I think I need to get out of this hospital. But it was really, really powerful, and I have always been a big proponent of chiropractic. They are really, truly healers. So if you've never, ever gone to one, I would highly recommend that you consider it. Where do you practice, by the way?
Maryland Heights off of Page and 270.
And you're seeing some pictures of him doing his work right there. Yeah. Again, healing others and healing himself on a regular basis as well. And where do you work out? You train at a gym or you train at home?
Club Fitness.
Club Fitness?
Yeah, Club Fitness over by, it's the one over near the office off Olive and 270.
Again, it's a beautiful thing to watch of where he was as a child, being overweight, finding health and fitness, and then continuing to be obedient and saying, okay, I'm going to lead this path. I'm going to become a healer. Then God's going to say, now I'm readying you. Now you're going to meet this beautiful, wonderful woman, and you're going to get married, and look at this life. He would have never seen if any one of those attempts would have gone another way.
Right. And I love because it's a lifetime.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a beautiful testimony. So, Christian, so Bridget knows this. At the end of every show, we read from these books that I actually got from the Crossing in Chesterfield, the 100 Days to Freedom books. Or we have added 100 Days of Healing. So the Fear and Anxiety book was the one chosen by everyone. We actually went through 100 days of that already with all of you. Not that you can't pick it. I still have it on the table. But we have 100 Days to Freedom from shame, from depression, from anger, overeating, and then 100 Days of Healing. Which one hits home with you?
Let's do depression.
Depression. All right. We're going to go into that, and then we're going to tell you about some mobile Monicas that are coming up. That's how we'll wrap up the show for you coming up next. Welcome to the mobile Monica version of the Real Monica Adams Show at my favorite restaurant. There's something about a coffee house that's just very warm and welcoming.
Gives you that sense of community.
What are you most proud of since you've opened it?
I cry easily. I'm thankful for everybody here.
You opened the door during the middle of the pandemic. You got the best Italian restaurant in the United States. Here in St. Louis, you put us on the map. Does it scare you? You go through fear?
Terrifying.
So how do you get past the fear?
We find something to laugh about.
Welcome back, and we are in our final moments of the Testament Tuesday on the Real Monica Adams Show. As you know, this is something that God said, you're going to read from these every day. When initially I bought these and thought they were pretty colors, and I put them up on top of a shelf and maybe read from them time to time, and he laughed and said, no, you will read from them every day, and there's some message in there that hopefully will impact you. We're going to find out what Christian's lasting message is, and Bridget's as well, and what he's been called to do. So day 35, accept yourself. This is 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, daily devotionals from Stephen Arterburn. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. This is Romans 8, verse 28. Depression, more common than we think. Millions of people face varying degrees of depression, but most cases go unreported. Regardless of the severity, we can all relate to the challenges that come with trying to overcome an illness. The first key, acceptance. Accepting where we are, what we're going through. That's the first step toward healing. Even though we live in a society where open discussion, and I'm going to actually say from the moment that this was probably written to today, I'm going to disagree with this comment. We live in a society where open discussion about mental health issues is still taboo. Not anymore. Ever since we went through the pandemic and came out of it, people say, I'm not okay, and others say, I'm not okay either. And it's okay to say that. We can make a choice to allow this new dimension to be part of our reality. If we don't, we're bound to continue denying the experience and faking a life that does not exist. The second key, let go of blame and labeling yourself. Sometimes we're the ones who do the greatest damage to ourselves through self-talk. I'm very big. Get in front of that mirror. Give yourself some self-love. We start to look for ways to explain our circumstances. Take the blame for being in the pit. We beat ourselves up by thinking the outcome would have been different if only we had exercised more, forgiven more, been more loving, read more scripture, or fill in the blank. When we accept and embrace our circumstances, we can begin to allow God's plan to really take root. If we treat our illness as the result of our failings, then we are prone to using our own efforts to make ourselves better. If we come to a place of accepting our depression as an event that God allowed, we have access to the full power of God to help us manage and become free from this darkness we've been talking about. Mark Twain said the worst loneliness is to not be comfortable with yourself. Mitch Albom, who we've had on the show, who I absolutely love, said, "You have peace," the old woman said, "when you make it with yourself." Today's prayer. Creator Father, thank you for making me with such detail. Please help me to accept the circumstances that come my way and bring me to the realization that I am still under your watchful eye. Amen to that. Good one. And it sounds very similar to things you needed to hear and things you've been through, actually. Dr. Christian Smith, again, and Bridget Childress. So we mentioned earlier that Christian loves and is a big believer in Ephesians 6, verse 12. Our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the spiritual powers of darkness. And obviously he witnessed this firsthand during some of his darkest times. You wanted to leave with why that's so powerful for you.
Yeah, so I think it's a really important thing to understand that while there are, emotional, chemical reasons behind the things that you're feeling and going through, that there's a spiritual layer to it. And one of the things that I really didn't understand at the time, but I look back and understand as the Lord kind of revealing that spiritual layer to me, was some of the things that I saw during my experiences with narcolepsy. So narcolepsy has these things that medical doctors would call hypnagogic hallucinations. So it basically means you wake up in the middle of the night and you see things. So I was told that these were just hallucinations. It was a symptom of how sleep deprived I was. But I would see very, very horrific demonic things. Even when I was an atheist, I remember being out with my buddy and we went back and crashed at my place. And I woke up in the middle of the night. We were sleeping on the couches in the basement. Open my eyes and I see an old lady, like a translucent old lady, like almost like very spooky looking, holding a baby, rocking back and forth in the chair. And I remember thinking, like, what is this? Like, just because I was an atheist, I didn't believe in that spiritual stuff. And then it turned around and went, shh, when I started talking. And it freaked me out to the core, and I couldn't explain it. Then it disappeared, and that was just that was probably the first of many situations. I had a period of my, what's interesting, too, is that when I did believe in God, but I didn't know what to do with Jesus, and that really dark stretch between the first and second suicide attempts, it really ramped up. It got worse. It got more intense. I had a situation in the middle of the night where I open my eyes and I see a woman with like glowing white skin in the corner of my room, like soulless eyes, beginning to come toward me, and got on my bed and started clawing toward me. And I got up like this, and I was trying to kick her in the face as if that would do anything, right? And I'm freaking out. I'm horrified. And like it was coming for like my soul or something, and it ran away and looked back in the corner of the room and like would peek its head out and mock me. And the last time that it happened was right before the second suicide attempt, when I open my eyes and in the corner of my room I see a towering demonic shadow figure with a grin just standing there. And at the time I understood, okay, these are hallucinations, they're not real. Had an explanation for it, and I was still freaked out. Sure. And I turned the light on, and it's gone. I'm like, okay. Turn the light back off, go back to sleep. I'm assuring myself I'm not scared. Like, I'm not scared. And then I hear a booming voice say, "You're not scared of me?" And a clash, almost like a thunderstrike in the middle of my room. The whole room lit up as if there was some kind of unholy light encompassing it. And then kind of went back into the darkness, and I was so scared. I remember I was at my parents' house, 21 years old, and I went back. I barged into their room, pacing back and forth like I'm a toddler who had a nightmare. And those experiences, they sound crazy, but the explanation was, this is a symptom of narcolepsy. You're sleep deprived. You have these hallucinations. Maybe you guys have seen things in your sleep. It's a very common thing, like the sleep paralysis and stuff like that. But I'm here to tell you that stuff, it's not, when you're seeing things like that, when you're going through spiritual darkness, it's the demonic realm, the spiritual realm is real. Yeah. It is a real thing. They are trying, the enemy came to kill, steal, and destroy, and they are trying to oppress you. Mm-hmm. That darkness that you're going through, it's not just your chemicals, it's not just your mood, it's not just the things you've been through, it's the enemy actively pursuing you for evil. Mm-hmm. And those experiences actually went away when I found Jesus. I never saw one again. And when I found Jesus, that's when my depression, anxiety, and PTSD were lifted. I was healed. And inadvertently, I was also healed of seeing those things. That demonic oppression went away. And I didn't think it would. I legitimately thought those were just hallucinations. So I remember sitting at church at the Crossing a year later and just thinking to myself, like, I haven't had those hallucinations. I used to have those all the time. Those are just 3 examples I gave of probably 100. Wow. Of just weird things I would see, and it just went away. And I look back, and I truly believe that was God telling me, like lifting the veil so I could see the spiritual component, and the only thing that can cast out demons is the name of Jesus.
Absolutely. That's powerful. And again, imagine if he had given in to all of that, which is what the enemy was trying to get you to do. Right? To say that this is the dark life. Right. That's crazy powerful. Also, Christian let me know that he answered God's call to go on a mission trip to West Asia in recent years. Mm-hmm. How long ago was that?
That would have been, it was back in June.
Wow. And you completed a 40-day water fast?
I did.
Holy cow.
That's crazy.
Bridget, that's crazy. I did 75 hard. I didn't do that. Again, some amazing things that we do because we just want to be obedient. What's your lasting message, Bridget?
I heard this on the way in today, and it's really simple. Less of me, so there's more of God. Less of me, because the world doesn't need me. The world needs Jesus.
She said she was listening. She's like, every song was hitting home. And I was like, you had to be listening to Joy. I sit there. My husband, I'm one that just I'm like this, right?
Yeah.
Pumping my fist when he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, this music is like speaking to me. I'm like, come on, I just want to blast it.
Yes.
He's not one that loves loud music. I'm like, well, get out of the car.
Bill's the same way. No, yeah, it's talk radio or whatever. And I'm like, oh no, come on. Yeah.
I do want to say this because I just saw a comment come in from, I think it was from Jody. Yeah, Jody said, I quit drinking after 22 years. One of the hardest things I've ever done. And even though God was the last thing I thought of, I still brought him into my life. He helped me in so many ways. I have not had a drink in 15 years. God bless you, awesome. Jody, right? She said, thank you, Jesus. Stephanie, you're so welcome. She said, thank you, Monica, Christian, Bridget. What a great show. Hi, Monica, everyone in the chat. Love from Dublin, Ireland. Well, hello.
Nice.
Thank you for watching. That's the thing I love. So take the show along with you when you go on vacation. Share this with family and friends all over the United States and in other countries, because again, this is the kind of show that people want to wake up to. Some hope, some inspiration, some positivity, motivation, instead of all the darkness that the negativity of the news tries to bring you. Yeah. Christian, thank you.
Thank you.
What a wonderful testament for sure. And Bridget, thank you for being a part of Testament Tuesday.
I am so thankful for you that you put it out there, because I think too, a lot of times people don't take that first step. It's like it has somebody else to do it, and then it's like, yeah,
let's do this.
Yeah.
Yes, Testament Tuesday. Let's do it. By the way, again, if there's someone that you know, or maybe it's you, and you'd like to tell your story, shoot me a message, info@therealmonicaadams.com. We've been talking about the Crossing. I will tag them in this a little bit later. Lloyd Nix, who is one of the most amazing singers at the Crossing in Chesterfield. We're going to set him up to come on, and I'd love to have youth groups on, pastors. I want different religions. I want us to open our mind to listening and hearing, again, what he's trying to do, what he is doing through us, not trying to do, what he is doing through us. As I mentioned, we've got some really cool mobile Monicas coming up. One of them is going to be at Barrel House, and that is in the Baldwin area on Clayton Road. If you have not been there, I would highly recommend that you stop in if you can before. Otherwise, we have a show that we'll be doing on May 11th. They're located at 14748 Clayton Road. You can find out more about them at Barrel House STL. Hotel, Wednesday through Friday from 4 to 9, and then on Saturday 1 to 9, and on Sunday from 12 until 6. Really super cool place. Here's a video, by the way. As you walk in, I love this back area. So inviting. I want that blue couch, by the way. So, yeah, you walk in, again, great food, wonderful music, incredible humans that own the place. I can't wait to tell the story. Denise and Stephen actually will be on with us later this month. But all those barrels, they could be rye, they could be whiskey, they could be bourbons. Super cool. You sit there with a clipboard and you write down things that you love, and then you make up your own blend. You pick your own bottle, which is one of those right there. You pick what the name of it is, and then they label it. And then when you're hosting family, friends, whatever, you come over and you say, hey, try this. I made this. So Barrel House will be there May 11th. Also, next week, we'll be introducing you to Tanya, who I used to personal train. She is one of the owners of Oaken Front, which is in Washington, Missouri. They'll be on with us, and then we're going to actually do a ton of things with them, including a mobile Monica on May 5th. And I do want to let you know, coming up on Medical Mondays, Midwest Thermography. We've been talking about April Abenizio.
I went there.
Did you go?
Well, it's been several years now, but yeah.
You got to get back.
Okay.
Right? You're supposed to go once a year.
I know.
So from head to toe, folks. So she will be our featured Medical Monday coming up in a couple of weeks. Next Monday, we've been talking about divine longevity and wellness. And yes, I will eventually, in that show, get on that red light therapy bike. Cannot wait to show you that. When it comes to health and wellness, Dr. John Arshadi will be showing you his place. So some cool things coming up. And if you would like us to bring the show on the road to your business, or you would like to, like Bridget did, say, wait a minute, I want to be a sponsor of this show. I want all of this attention on my business as well, so that we can do the positive brands together. Shoot me a message at info@therealmonicaadams.com. Tomorrow, Trisha Rhodes will be our guest. She is one of the stretch therapists at Exist Stretch, who is now our title sponsor. We are inside now the Exist Stretch Studios. Trisha, can't wait to have you on a Wellness Wednesday. So from now till then, remember, believe in yourself, self-love, so very important. Understand that you have intrinsic value, and don't let anybody ever squash your dreams. Just see what you can become. Be kind, and God bless.
The Real Monica Adams Show is brought to you by Exist Stretch. Stop by for your free consultation and 30-minute introductory stretch